What's up, United fans? Welcome back to another video of the Red Devil Republic channel. If you guys are new, subscribe. Please help me get to 50 subscribers. I want to do a live show with you guys and just, bounce ideas off of you, get your thoughts on things, and then ultimately watch games with you and analyze our tactics, break things down to you in real time. That's what I feel like I'm good at, so hopefully we can get to that for the Man City game. That'd be really fun. First, this video, I'm going to be talking about transfers and how we did in the window. And then I'm going to start with this little picture right here. 3.57 million euros spent in the Premier League alone. So we spent 3 times more than the next closest league, which was the Serie A. They spent 1.18 billion euros. That just shows you what type of league we're in. That shows you what type of money is being spent. And ultimately, that's why we're like 15 teams deep, where we're going to be competing and having dogfight games in every game. And you look at the Serie A, or La Liga is probably a better example. I feel like the lower teams just can't spend that much money. And then you're having Barcelona and Real Madrid obviously spend way more than everybody else, and it just creates a big disparity. Now, obviously, top six in the Premier League are spending a lot of money, but you go around and you break it down. I mean, I have the edit right here. Between these top six teams, the net spend was not that much. And now I know that's not the net spend on everything. Obviously, Liverpool spent like 600 or 500 million with Isak. Everybody combined. So this number was mainly from the big six. And the Chelsea, I don't know how they're negative with all the signings they do every year, but they did some good business. And Manchester City were also negative. So just goes to show, you got to spend money to stay on the top. You look at City, they're negative 144 million pounds, and they have a really bad start. And they don't have stats that say, like, hey, at least some things are going well, right? At least we can look at our stats and say, hey, we got 55 shots. Maybe we could have had 9 points. And you go watch the games back, and you're like, okay, we should have done better, and we just didn't. And eventually that will turn. Things will start falling in place, and we're going to start winning games. And I really think we are going to finish top six this year. So tell me I'm wrong, guys. I know a lot of United haters are out there, or just, United pessimists that are fans that like to dwell in this demise. Me, not so much. I came from the 2000 era when it was Giggs, Scholes, and Ronaldo, Tevez, Rooney, Berbatov. I'm used to those days, and that's what I want us to get back to. So anyways, let's start with these transfer incomings. We started with Lyon before the window started. It was only like a $4 million deal. I'm not sure what the euro amount was, but it's more of just a squad piece. I would like to see us, and I think a lot of fans would like to see us go get Alvaro back, because Real Madrid signed him for a big chunk of money. I think we got a portion of that too for a sell-on clause. But yeah, I wish we used that buyback clause to go get him. I think he's a quality player. Oh well, moving on. Cunha was the first signing in the summer, 62.5 million pounds. We don't necessarily need the 210s that we got with Cunha and Mbuemo, but I think with the system that Amram's trying to build, he sees a vision for these guys a lot more than, Xerxes, Mainu, Mount. You can't really rely on Mount so much. He's injured a lot. So for me, 9 out of 10 signing. This was a great signing. Leon, I'm not really going to rate because I don't really know much about him. I saw him a bit in preseason, but that's it. He looks like a decent player, but he's young. He's 18. And Buemo, obviously, really good signing. I think it's nice to see a player work really hard and come into the team. And Cunha actually was criticized for his work rate at Wolves. And I actually think his work rate's been really good for Manchester United so far. So it's really nice to see both these guys come in and put in the work that's required in Amram's system, because I think this is a system that's only going to work if you guys put in the work. And obviously that's easier said than done, and it sounds kind of dumb, but it makes sense. I mean, when you play football, you got to fight for your teammates. And if you're not running for your teammate, you're not working back for him, you guys are going to suffer. You're only as strong as your weakest link on that field. And then we had Sesko come in, 85 million euro package deal. it's one of those things where Sesko came in, Hoyland's got to go. Now, bad business, obviously, because we bought Hoyland not too long ago for a lot of money. But Hoyland's a player that doesn't really have a right foot. He struggles with movement in the box, and he doesn't head the ball very well. I know he scored some header goals with his head for us, but in my opinion, his movement in the box is really poor. His timing's really poor. And that's just not something you want to see from your striker. You want your striker to be clinical and be in the right place in the right time all the time. Sesko's a player, to me, he fits that mold. Left foot, right foot, doesn't matter. He'll bang him from anywhere. But his movement in the box is what impresses me the most. I think that's why we went after him. Obviously, we're whipping a lot of balls in. You look at the statistics, we're serving more balls than anybody else into the box accurately as well. So having a 6'4" guy that can jump and head the ball, that's going to be beneficial for us. And then last was Laman's 21 million euro deal for us, add-ons as well. We chose him over Martinez. Personally, I like him over Martinez as well. I think a lot of fans would rather have Martinez. I understand, World Cup winner, class goalkeeper, Yashin trophy winner as well. So I understand the complaints. For me, I see Martinez as more of a liability because he creates errors, and Lamans is a keeper that will create errors as well. But I see somebody that has a mold of somebody like that, David De Gea. He reminds me a lot of him with his foot staves, and most of all, his 1v1 work. I think he's very, very adept at that. His 1v1 skills coming out, closing on the angles. He's an interesting prospect. I watched his highlight videos, both good and bad, and yeah, I gotta say I'm impressed. Obviously you can create a lot of bad stuff as goalkeepers. You're gonna make a mistake and get scored on. That's just the name of the game as goalkeepers. But yeah, I like the signing. Hopefully he starts. Bander just doesn't seem to command his box as well. Onana, talking about him, he came in real quick. I'm gonna cover him. He came in asking for another contract after them not getting the UCL and a 25% wage decrease. And he wanted another contract, and I don't know. That just speaks to the type of attitude that United had. The players that United have been signing, and these guys are coming in with these like egos and attitudes, and it's like they feel like they're bigger than the club. That type of stuff is just sickening to me. Especially the players that work hard. I mean, Onana didn't have a good season. It would be one thing if Onana had a good season or a couple good seasons, but he came in off a really bad season and asked for another contract. I don't know. Go win this Champions League or go win that Europa League final yourself, and then go ask for the contract. Don't be doing that. So that just really irked me. I wanted to cover real quick. So he's going to be our third, maybe fourth choice keeper behind Heaton, and rightly so. So now let's talk about the outgoings. We started off with Garnacho. There's a long list of loans too. I'm going to cover that at the end. But yeah, Garnacho was the first one to go. We wanted 50 million pounds from Chelsea. Chelsea seemed to just drag the deal on, and they talked us down to 40. They're trying to give us 30 for a long time. So ultimately, it's a good deal because the guy wasn't going to play for us. He was like, "I'll sit on my butt for till January or till next year," and that's a pretty bold statement from a player. Uh, I think he was really trying to force a move and force United's price down. I think that's what he was doing. We're going to see a lot of banter this year about him, but how much doesn't he not look like Megan Rapinoe to you guys? To me, ever since this move, he's starting to look more like Megan Rapinoe to me. I'm going to put a little photo of her up right here. Tell me what you guys think about that. All right, next we got Anthony, and boy, what a saga this was. Betis finally coughed up the money. Anthony finally said, "Okay, I'll just leave instead of asking for severance pay." And I got to give INEOS props on this one because this was a tricky one. Anthony was really pushing this deal. Betis was like, "We don't got the money," and then Anthony goes to Betis. "Well, I got $6 million left in my contract. You're gonna pay me that money?" And they're like, "No." And then he's like, "Okay, well, I'm not going." And it was a big little standoff. And Manchester United stood their ground and said, "No, you're either going or you're going to sit on your butt for a year." And hey, it worked out. Obviously, 22 million is a lot smaller number than what we paid to get him. The one thing I do like is the 50% sell on clause. So at least we did something there. We probably told them like, look, we paid this amount of money for him. At least give us a sell on if you guys sell him. So yeah, good deal there. Obviously bad business in its entirety, but in the situation, the circumstances, I would say it's a good deal. Same thing with this guy, Sancho. It was a good deal in the circumstances, and I'll say I'm surprised that any club is actually going for this guy. After the things that come out about him being lazy, not showing up to practice. I mean, the thing about Chelsea when they're like, we were ready to spend the 20 mil and make it permanent, and then he didn't show up to training. It really, it's weird that teams would go after him after that. So whatever thing we got going on with Villa right now must be really good business because Villa keeps going for these guys, and they're paying 80% of his salary. So it's not like we're covering half. 80% is a big number for a loan deal, and I will. Rashford's actually 100%, but you know, Rashford's got to go to. Uh, let's move on. Hoyland. This was a this was one that I was kind of sad about. You know, Hoyland, props to the guy. He was class through this whole transaction. Um, so I wish him all the best and good luck to him. It'd be nice to see Napoli do really well and him perform really well. So good luck to him. Hopefully they make Champions League and that buy option comes into play and we'll get that extra 44 million euros because it looks like Sesko's our guy now. Yeah, that was it for the outgoings. I have the loan moves now, and I just wanted to cover all these loan moves. We saved like on the big contracts. I did the math. We saved about 60 million euros on the big contracts. We spent about 30 million on the new contracts that we got. You know, Embuemo, Sesko, Cunha, Laumans. Actually, I didn't add Laumans into that. It's probably a little bit more. But yeah, so we saved a lot of money on all these contracts. And I gotta say, Collier was one that I'm kind of surprised that we let go to West Brom. I think, you know, if we have an injury or two in that midfield, it's gonna be really, really rocky. So we gotta hope that Bruno and Casemiro and Mainu or Gate, they all stay healthy because even if one goes down, we're gonna be struggling, especially when that FA Cup comes around. We got more games coming, so yeah, that's something to look out for. And then even the new kid Sesu Kone, he got hurt, and I think it's a pretty bad one. So he was kind of like our upcoming prospect that was probably going to get more playing time. I don't know. Maybe we rated him over Collier. Maybe that's why Collier left. Not sure, but maybe Collier gets recalled. You know, if something goes wrong. Yeah. So tell me, and before I do that, let me rate the window. I gotta say, I think this is a. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10, and if 6 out of 10 is average, I would say this is below average. I like the signings, but we needed a midfielder. The midfielder crisis is big right now, and for us not to get one, you know, Baliba or Wharton or even Ederson from like whoever we linked to, we just needed to go get one. I think we put in the offer for Gallagher from Atleti, and that just didn't happen. It was a loan deal, so I think we are actually hurting for money, which would make sense because what Ratcliffe came out and said that we were broke a while ago, but then we go up and spending all this money on new training ground stuff like that. But we did get a new deal with Snapdragon, all this other stuff with Nike. But for me, 5 out of 10. I think if we get a midfielder, if we get Baliba, I'd probably say 7 or 8 out of 10. And the only reason why I wouldn't give it like higher is because the deals were so late. We need these guys to get in the team a lot earlier than they are. And we're seeing the effects with Sesko. Sesko hadn't really had a preseason, and that's a big deal for these guys. You know, guys don't take time off in this league. You know, it's year round. The football is year round. So when you take time off, it takes a little bit of time to get your legs back and get up to speed. And it's going to take time to get used to a system as well. You know, not only are they trying to get up to speed, they're trying to learn a new system. And for me, this system that Amram's playing. I like it, but it's very unique. It takes time to learn. I could see the complexity to it. So, let me know what you guys think. Tell me what your rating is on the window.